I've done the research. Despite there being no very good translation of Final Fantasy X-2.5, I know what's inside this book, and I don't like it. So I put out a video on how Tidus is able to return. I talk about the mechanics between the Faith and the Summoner and how that works, how Tidus is able to be reconstructed from the Fireflies and has a new faith. But the novella of Final Fantasy X-2.5 apparently takes place in between the time between the perfect ending and the ending from the airship on Besaid that we all saw. In that supposed time in between, it pretty much changes everything we know about how the world of Final Fantasy X works. And for me, I'm just not a fan of retroactively saying, hey, this was actually that, if it was never in the game. And in this case, with novella, it came out about a decade later. So here is the big issue with Final Fantasy X-2.5. It is a brand new concept called the Beckoning. Tidus dies by kicking what looks like a blitzball. This blitzball is actually a bomb that's from the Machina War. With Tidus's death, I don't think that's necessarily such a bad thing. Tidus is not actually alive. Therefore, I don't feel like he can actually be dead. I would think that because Yuna is able to re-summon her own Aeons, she would probably be able to re-summon Tidus. Tidus also can't be dead because of Shuyin. From my understanding, Shuyin is the real-life version of Tidus, and Tidus is only a memory of Shuyin, who has mutated and become distorted over time. Therefore, Tidus can't go to the far plane, I would think. Not in the same way that other people can. Aeons are not the same thing as living people. Just like the Faith are able to create buildings and objects, they are able to create Sin, Jet, or Tidus. So the problem really comes up when, in the book, Tidus dies, and it seems that he actually dies. His Fireflies go to the far plane, and Yuna is able to resurrect him with an ability that we have not seen before called the Beckoning. We learned that summoners have more abilities than we thought. For example, we knew that summoners could do sendings. They could send people to the far plane. Yuna reveals that she doesn't even have to dance anymore, that she just does it for show. But apparently now, summoners can also take Fireflies out of the far plane. And so summoners can do a forbidden ritual of bringing people back from the dead. And it is this, the Beckoning, which is what Yuna decides to do. And this then has a bunch of unintended consequences. Apparently, it just creates a rip in the far plane, and then all of the dead people are able to come out, or something like that. It's an excuse to bring Sin back, which is what we get in the audio drama. I feel like I have to reject it. It goes against what I know to be established in Final Fantasy X and X-2. That is to say, the novella is reaching very far and creating many new mechanics, and it's just outside of my own believability. There is also a bit of revisionist history going on. I am not a fan when an author of something goes back and says, hey, this was actually that. When something is created, it is done organically and they're not completely self-aware of the process. So when someone goes back to try to add mechanics or change things, especially in between scenes, you can't really say whether or not that was intended in the first place. I hold to what I said about Final Fantasy X and X-2, that Yuna, without knowing it, is still the summoner of Tidus. She is perpetually summoning him because those are the mechanics that are introduced in Final Fantasy X and X-2. There is no way that we could possibly know more beyond that. Definitely let me know what you think of Final Fantasy X-2.5 or what you know about it. On the positives, the book is extremely pretty, and there is this just beautiful, like, translucent blue binding that's very aqua-y, and it even has a bookmark. Very nice binding. As a reminder, I stream on Wednesdays and Fridays on YouTube. I'd love it if you join me there, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!